Welcome to the Department of Correction. I'd like to take a moment to share several videos which will help you better understand our operations, programs, and services. We hope that after viewing these videos, you will have a better understanding of our vision, mission, and strategic goals. I would like to thank you for your continued support, and for more information, please visit our website.
I'm here now with Michael Grant. Mike Grant is the Assistant Deputy Commissioner of the Southern Region Prison Facilities in the state of Massachusetts. We're going to cover some of the incidental items that you might be wondering about if your family or friend is incarcerated in the Massachusetts Department of Correction. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Chris. How are you?
Good, thanks. The first question I'd like to address is, let's say a family member or a friend of mine is incarcerated in the State Department of Correction, and I'm not really sure where they're at. How would I go about, what's the first step that I would take in finding them?
Well, the easiest way is to use our website, www.vinelinks.com, or you can look at the number that's listed below on the screen and call, or you can always go to our main webpage.
So another question I think that a lot of family and friends would be wondering about is, how could I deposit money into my loved one or friend's account while they're incarcerated?
Well, you can use the U.S. Postal Service. Chris, you can mail in a money order to someone as long as you have their incarceration number. You send it in, you mail it into the facility. That will then get deposited into their account, and they can use it. You can also, during visits in the lobby of all facilities, there's a drop box where you could drop off a money order. I think the key thing for this is that you know the person's identification number, and you put it on the envelope, and you know where you're mailing it to, and it'll get deposited to them. It might take a little while to access the funds because the checks have to clear. So that's why we recommend money orders.
So a friend of mine, is incarcerated, and I send some money into them, and I've heard a little bit about the canteen. What types of items are available in an inmate canteen?
Well, a canteen or commissary is very similar to a store. Certainly some of our items are restricted because of security concerns, but for the most part it's hygiene products, clothing, food items, stamps, pretty much what an offender would need above and beyond for what we give them. Shower shoes, just a whole assortment of different items.
In addition to hygiene products, can they purchase electronics? Are inmates allowed to have TVs or radios, or is it dependent on the type of facility they're in?
The canteen sells different electronic products, televisions, different types of radios, Walkmen. Some places now we're piloting MP3 players. We have headphones, wristwatches, just different things that you need to get through the day, and things that would not be provided to you by the facility. A lot of it is dictated by the security level you're at, but yeah, we do sell electronic devices.
So let's say my friend was there and his brother was there. Could he share a book of stamps or maybe some food that he bought in the canteen with him? Is that allowed?
Canteen items and property are not transferable between inmates. We do have some allowances for family members as they leave. If they can prove to us that it's their brother or their father, we might let them leave them something that someone couldn't purchase. But for the most part, there is no transferring of canteen or property items.
So, Mike, let's say there's something that's not available in the canteen, if they want a book that's maybe available on Amazon.com or something like that. Can they purchase stuff outside of what's available in the regular canteen?
So we'll allow a family member or a friend to purchase a book through an approved book club or book house or vendor, and send that book in to an approved publisher, send that book in to an inmate. Absolutely.
Can an inmate purchase through an approved publisher as well?
Yes, they can also do that. Absolutely.
Okay, how about if my brother was getting ready to go to court and he doesn't really have appropriate clothing? Is there a way that I could send court clothing into him?
So we do have a procedure that allows people to drop off or send in court clothes for someone. You'd have to call the property department at that facility. The offender would need to get prior approval at the institution, and then we'd make arrangements for people to have clothes to wear to court, correct? Those clothes would not be able to be retained after court. They'd have to be sent back out after the court case was completed.
Okay. All right, Mike, so I think the next thing that we should talk about, and this is probably one of the most important things, is the visiting procedure. What's that look like at a prison facility, and how important is it to the inmates that are incarcerated there?
Well, first of all, I think we should be clear. Visiting is a program, and it's a key part to our reentry initiative as part of our strategic plan and part of our overarching goals. The visiting program is meant for people to reunify with their families, build some bridges with people in the community, to get in a setting that is relaxing, and to be able to spend some quality time with their family, their friends, and their loved ones. And that would include children. In all visiting, or most visiting rooms, and hopefully sooner or later all visiting rooms, we have specific areas set up for offenders' children where they can read books and watch videos. Some visiting rooms have vending machines, and they're allowed to have a meal together, whether it be a sandwich and a drink, or even if it's a bag of potato chips. So I think that the main emphasis on the visiting program is that we really build those bonds back up with the outside world, so that offenders are keeping in touch with the loved ones they left behind, and that they're really learning how to socialize in an appropriate and supervised setting.
So in terms of visits, is there a dress code that's applicable, that if I'm not dressed appropriately, and how would I really know if I'm dressed appropriately if it's my first time going to visit?
The dress code is posted on our website. It's on our webpage. It's in our Family and Friends Handbook. I think a rule of thumb, if you're a male, is that you can't wear jeans, and you have to stay away from the colors that we let the inmates wear. And same if you went to our female facility at Framingham. But the dress code is posted, and I think a rule of thumb for people is check what the dress code is before you come, and don't wear anything that might be of question. I mean, I wouldn't want to say what is a low-cut shirt. Fashion changes. But in prison, we're really talking about appropriate outfits or appropriate clothing, because other people in the visiting room, other families, we don't want your clothing to be a distraction or a deterrent to get people into the facility.
Now, let's say I have a brother that's in the military and he wants to come visit. Could he come visit in his uniform?
Absolutely.
How about if I have a family member, another family member, or a friend that's an ex-felon? Would they be allowed to visit?
So ex-felons need to get prior approval to visit. If the offender knows that they're going to have a visit from an ex-felon, they can send them an ex-offender request to visit form. That form will be sent into the superintendent's office. The superintendent will make a decision based on what the offense is, if they actually serve time, how old it is, what the severity of it is, and then that form will be sent back to them. They should keep that form on their person each and every time they visit.
How about if I had a family member that had some significant medical condition, like they're on oxygen that they have to bring in, or they have a prosthetic leg that they wear? How does that sort of work?
So if I'm a family member or a friend and I have a predisposed medical condition that makes it necessary for me to bring in medication, some type of ambulation device, some type of respiratory device, or any other aid I need for medical, first of all, we try to never turn anybody away if they don't know. But what I would say is, if you do have a predisposed medical condition and you're going to need to bring in some type of assistance so you can get through the visiting process, you should call the superintendent's office at the facility or write and get the approval in writing. And again, keep that approval on you at all times when you come to the facility.
A great point, because you wouldn't want to just sort of show up out of the blue with something that's maybe a major medical concern and surprise everybody, because it may sort of delay the visiting process.
We want people to visit. It's a really key part of our reentry initiatives, and it's a really key part of someone's adjustment, because the majority of our offenders are coming back home, and through the visitation process they can start to make those necessary connections that will make that transition smoother, more effective, and really keep the recidivism rates low.
Let's say worst case scenario, I have somebody that had visited an inmate in a facility and they did something inappropriate and they were barred from visiting. Is there sort of a process in place where I could have the bar lifted, or am I barred forever, or how does that work?
Well, in the unfortunate event that someone is barred, we do have a process that they can appeal to the superintendent in writing. Bars can be lifted. Some bars will not be lifted, but the person has the right to appeal, and they can write to the superintendent, and they can look at that process, again, in our Family and Friends Handbook and on the website.
Probably in terms of visiting, the most important thing is, go to the website. Each facility, it's www.mass.gov/DOC. You can look at the facilities and what their visiting requirements sort of are. And then also, right on the first page of our internet page is the Family and Friends Handbook, where it really outlines what's appropriate and not appropriate to wear during visits.
So we like to think that our Family and Friends Handbook is a great resource for people to use so they can understand all aspects of their loved one's incarceration. But we've tried to make it so that the handbook is user-friendly, so that it encourages people to know what we do and to be prepared when they come to our facilities and try to access our visiting process.
Those are great points. Thanks for your time, Mike.
Thank you, Chris.